Hey guys, welcome or welcome back. Tisha here, back with another Real Housewives of Atlanta recap. This is season 16, episode 13, chapter 1 Reset. We begin the episode at Shamia's home. She's getting things ready to donate to the people of Grenada. So she has a garage that is full of items to be donated, as she has these boxes and these Tupperware containers that are labeled. Her daughter Shia is outside and she isn't trying to part with some of her items, but Shamia wants to show her daughter the importance of, giving to others, the importance of paying it forward. So she tells her, like, look, these things are things that you're not even using. Somebody else can use them. And apparently, these are discussions that they've had in the past. So hopefully, in doing this, her daughter is, learning the joy. She does seem to, enjoy helping her mom with getting the boxes and things of that nature prepared. So it's a cute moment. So Kelly pulls up with a truck full of bottles of water. We find out that Cynthia donated items as well. I saw like Pampers and things of that nature, including a Tarjay bag. We're not doing Tarjay right now, but including a Tarjay bag, diapers, and things of that nature. Drew donated some goodies as well. She had someone come and drop them off. Portia, she says she sent in a donation. Britt ends up coming and Britt has a box. Now, it's a big box, but the box doesn't have much in it. She claims that she has a lot more stuff, but she just couldn't fit it in her car. I don't understand why you couldn't fit it in your car. Do you only have like a two-seater? Is there no trunk? Like, why couldn't you fit it in your car? Because it's really not that big of a deal. If you couldn't put it in boxes, you could have left it in bags. But anyways, so she says like she's gonna have it be brought later. So Shamia's like, okay, you're gonna have it be brought within the hour because the people are coming to pick it up in the hour. So she's telling us that she didn't really get the notice about gathering these things. So she tried to do the best that she could within the last, minute, because she got it last minute. I personally don't believe that. I think that they were told them very early on that these things were expected and what time, because it just so happens that both Kelly and Drew's items are arriving at the same time, as well as, you were aware that at some point at a certain time they were coming to get these things. Then she's talking about how she had more notice, she would have been able to gather more things. So did you have more things or not? Because you're saying that you have more things coming, but then you're saying you would have had more time. Do you not live in an area where there's a store, where there's a place where you can buy items? I don't know, a Wally World, Tarjay, even though I'm not doing Tarjay, but some people are still doing Tarjay, a Tarjay, a Publix, a CVS, a Walgreens, a Rite Aid. Are Rite Aid still around? A Bucky's? Okay, I'm just naming places. But my point is, there's plenty of stores where you could have gotten items, because at this point, they're looking for everything. So Shamia tells her, the truck's gonna be there an hour, whatever. She, as I said, she's acting like she didn't know this. Shamia lets us know that as she takes the box that Britt has, that the box is light. And then what I liked was she proceeded to take the items out of the box. She said, we're not going to have a repeat of Bare Naked. We're going to show what's in this naked box. And she pulls out items, and there's a couple of like toilet paper rolls and some other things. It's clear that the box wasn't full, letting us know that there wasn't even a lot of things in here. This is the second time that Britt has brought a box that doesn't have items in it. And my thing is, you could have went to a Sam's, a Costco, any of those places, and you could have done better than what you did. But it just shows to me that there's minimal effort here. You take us to go see you, supposedly go shop for a car that your husband's supposed to be buying you. You come on the scene bragging about this expensive upgrade of a ring that you have, but you couldn't give a little bit more to the people who need this. This isn't a thing where you don't have money. Well, maybe you don't. I don't know. But I myself, who has my own things going on, would have been able to give more than what we saw, Britt given. I'm not knocking those who would be unable to. This is supposed to be someone who can. So it just looks like, she didn't put forth any effort. So the next thing you know, they are talking about Britt's event. The ladies lie and say that they enjoyed it. She lets the ladies know that she's just disappointed in how it went because it didn't go as planned, that her event planner messed things up. Now, if you've looked at social media, we know that her event planner has gone on to social media and say that she was not the event planner, that her responsibility was decor, that she did her job. And if I'm right, correct me if I'm wrong, I think she also said that she wasn't even paid for what she did. Shamia doesn't like that Drew said that she's a lap dog. And Kelly's hoping that while they're there, they can reset. Then Portia's name comes up, and Shamia lets it be known that they've talked, they've cried, and they're good. So we go on to the next scene where Portia and Drew finally meet to talk about this situation with Dennis. This is ridiculous that it is taken this long, that it has been 3 months of them filming, and you're just now deciding to do this. It very much so gives that Portia really, really is controlling the way that this thing is being pushed out. So Portia claims that because she doesn't want any bad energy with Drew while they're on this trip, she's agreeing to meet up with her. As I said, Portia could have addressed this a long time ago, but her storyline is kind of, non-existent. So I guess we're going to, deal with this now. So Drew is sitting there waiting for Portia, and Portia proceeds to shade Drew to us, telling us that she didn't realize that was Drew because the hair that's in her head is not Go Naked hair. Production let her know that that's what Drew said it was, and we see the image on Instagram where she tags Go Naked hair. And Portia's response is, "It's a mixture." I want to know what's it a mixture of. What is it a mixture of? For my hair girlies, look at me coming up here looking crazy. For my hair girlies, here's my question. Has this ever happened to you? Because it happened to me. I see something on a website, right? I wanted to get a wig that had like the frontal. Yeah, I'm saying it right. The frontal. No, I didn't want a frontal because that goes all the way across your head. A closure in the middle part. Supposedly, this was HD lace, which means it's supposed to look like it's not there. It was already plucked, which means the hairs have been taken out and tinted, and it was glueless, which means you didn't have to worry about putting like glue on your skin. Because I've never done that, nor do I desire to put. Not knocking those of you who have, but I have very, very sensitive skin, and if I glue down a wig, it's gonna jack me up. So anyways, you put the wig on, it's glued, you're good to go, right? Order the wig comes in, and I was cheated because it was the furthest thing from HD. It looked like some synthetic hair. The lace was like, I see all the holes in it. It looked like a pair of stockings that you put hair on. And I ended up doing a fraud alert with my bank to get my money back. I think that Portia's product is good. I haven't bought it. But if you're sitting here saying that that was a mixture, do you have different densities that you provide? Like, what is it that's so different about what we see you wearing versus what we see her wearing? Just a question. Y'all tell me what you think. So Drew and Portia order some tea. Drew orders tea requesting for ginger and turmeric. If you don't have it in your house, keep ginger in your house. Ginger is my best friend. Like ginger stays in my house. I grew up in a West Indian household, and one thing that there was always in the fridge was ginger. Ginger was on deck. So keep ginger if you don't have it. So she's sounding a little hoarse, and she needs to make sure that her vocals are ready for her showcase. Now, Portia is the one who points out first that she has a showcase. So the fact that you mention it lets me know that Dennis tells you a lot of things that you act like he doesn't. Y'all tell me what you thought of that. So Drew's like, look, we could have talked about this, a long time ago. Portia's like, yeah, I know, but I was upset and I don't want to communicate when I'm upset because I don't communicate well when I'm upset. Is it because it's going to turn into a thing like what happened with Kenya? Or is it because you just shut down? Like, what do you mean, Portia, by you don't communicate well when you're upset? So she's like, you filmed with Dennis, and I talked to him about it. And he told me that y'all filmed because you were promoting your music and because he kind of wanted to clear his name. When it came to all the talks about you guys being romantically linked, he wanted to set the record straight. I'm paraphrasing here, that wasn't the case. So Drew's like, okay, when you say that, it makes me uncomfortable because that's not true. I don't want them to have conversations about what Dennis supposedly said without Dennis being there, because there's this thing where we keep getting told what Dennis told Drew versus what Dennis told Portia versus what Portia's telling us. And it all is a bunch of alternative facts. And I just want them to all sit in front of each other and say what they're going to say so the truth can be put out there, because I don't know who's lying more at this point, if it's Portia or if it's Dennis. But either way, y'all are carrying this thing on like she hasn't cleared the record that her and Dennis don't have anything. And like it needed to be all of this. So Drew is smiling as she's mentioning the fact that she filmed with Dennis. And then Drew flips it back on her. And she's like, you're talking about me filming with Dennis, but you filmed with Ralph. Portia, of course, is saying, I didn't choose to do that. I thought I was, linking up with Shamia. So she's putting it on Shamia because Shamia did this whole thing. So she tells us in confessional that, she's probably what did she say? It probably stings Drew and it triggers her because I filmed with Ralph. But that's the same way that I felt about her filming with Dennis. The situations aren't the same. I'm giving my response on this based on what we're seeing on the show, because I don't know what the hell Drew is doing on IG, having videos with Ralph. It's making me side eye her to the point where I don't know what to believe about that situation. Like, don't sit here with the man that's supposedly tormenting you, doing all these things to you, changing codes for you to get in the house, trying to prevent you from moving on, trying to take a good percentage of your business and your money. And you're on IG posting up with him a couple days ago, cooking food together. It's not a good look. It's not. It makes it look like you and Ralph are playing around. So I'm a do my commentary based on the show. So Portia once again is speaking for Dennis. She tells Drew that Dennis let me know that, he's not messing with you, that, she ain't messing with me. She's actually messing with Black. Drew says, nah, I'm not messing with him. That's my friend. Portia then continues to talk about how Drew let rumors about her and Dennis linger, and she has a problem with that. But she did not. She said that she was not dating that man. She said that they were friends. She said that he was her angel. Now, was it dramatic? Yes, but she didn't say anything else. And what does it matter? Because Portia, you're married to Simon. You're not married to Dennis. You and Dennis have been done. How old is PJ at this point? Or are you still going back and enjoying some of Dennis and what he has going on? You and your friends are the ones who continue to spread rumors and say things about Drew, and then get upset when Drew says things about you. So Drew tells her she doesn't have time to be dating anybody right now. Her focus is on her kids. She is going through a messy divorce. Portia, of course, is not listening to Drew. She keeps cutting her off, making her little slick comments, like, oh, okay, you're not dating him. Yeah, I get it. You're dating somebody on the low, implying that there's something else going on there. Her husband is vindictive and manipulative, and you're sitting here and you're adding flames to the fire. Nobody can talk about Simon because Simon at this point was done with Portia. But here you are and you want to keep going, going, and going. And I don't know. There's just no consideration there. So she's like, so since you want to talk about who I'm supposedly dating, Drew basically says, well, I heard you talked out with blank. And I think they said Future, because that was the rumor. Let me know down below. So Portia's like, I don't even know him. I've never even met him. Drew's like, we can throw names out there all day. Portia says, this isn't about you dating Dennis. So my question is, what is it about? Oh, I'm sorry, her filming with him. Drew's like, you keep throwing out false things. Portia doesn't feel like she's throwing out false things. Portia, you can't say in one breath it's a rumor and then in the next breath say it's not false things. If you don't know it to be true, shut your mouth. She then tries to flip it on Drew, telling Drew that it's her energy and it's her being combative. I didn't think that Drew was being combative. Drew says, "That's how you've been. You've treated me badly, like I did something to you. You're going through a divorce. Your energy and your smoke isn't for me." Portia cannot handle it when she's being told the truth or when she's being called out. So she ends up doing what she always does, which is she leaves, claiming that she left because of Drew's energy and Drew trying to poke her by bringing up the divorce. I personally will pass on Portia. I'm over the walkouts. So let's talk about Kelly. We see a montage of the ladies getting ready for their trip. Kelly talks to her girls and lets them know that she's gonna be missing their first day of school because she won't be back yet. I personally don't think I would have went on that trip because she has little ones, but to each his own. I'm not gonna judge her because there are instances for work where people have to go, and I guess filming for this show is her job. I just think I would have tried to find a way to not go until after my girls left or, something like that. So her publicist is who's going to be taking them to school because she can't rely on her husband. The kids aren't worried about, their mom missing their first day. They're just concerned about making sure that they have new clothes for school. Kelly fills in Lamont, that's her publicist, on what he has to do. That, is three different drop offs because the girls go to three different schools. 7 a.m. will be the first drop off. Lamont lets them know, I've FaceTimed Mark, which is her ex-husband, because at one point they were good. He says that he expected that he could kind of talk some sense into him, but when he got on the phone with him and as he was talking to him, it was made clear very early on that he has no intentions of getting in a good place with Kelly. Instead, what he got was a bunch of no's when he asked Mark certain things, even to them working on their co-parenting dynamic. Kelly is sad because she's having to do this by herself and she gets emotional. She wants more for her girls. She doesn't like that he isn't doing right by her girls. My cousin said something to me the other day that kind of stuck with me. He said, like, sometimes we don't see the blessing in the fact that certain people are not in our children's lives. Yes, it hurts. Yes, ideally, you would love for their father to play an active role in their life. But given the history, given the fact that Kelly alleges that he's abusive, that he made certain comments in the courtroom that had a restraining order and contempt, him held in contempt and all these other things, that maybe it's a good thing that he's not involved with the girls, because who's to say how he may have, manipulated them or done things in order to get back at Kelly, because right now it seems like that's what is taking precedence, is stinging Kelly. You have children with her and you don't even care about the kids. That's a problem for me. And I think that Kelly, because Kelly was, crying and stuff like that about the situation, I think that Kelly needs to give herself a little bit more credit and realize that even though he's not there, that she can still show up in a mighty way for her girls. So enough of that. We are at the airport watching the various ladies arrive. Drew, why are you always last? It's like we don't see Drew have interactions with these ladies until they get to the place, because we saw the ladies talking in the airport and all those other things, and Drew just walks in by herself and the ladies are already gone. Anyways, um so the ladies arrive. I wrote, I always side eye chocolate females that go on vacation with wigs. If I'm going on a vacation, especially out of the United States, twist it or braid it or put it in a ponytail, por favor. I don't have time to be worried about a wig. As the ladies arrive, Angela plans on keeping an open mind when it comes to Portia. Not Portia, Phaedra. While Phaedra is throwing shade, she's calling Angela the oldest looking young woman she's ever met. There's things that are going on the internet wondering if Angela is really 43. I don't know how old Angela is. I would hope that she wouldn't lie about her age, but I think that Phaedra can't really be talking about the way uh Angela looks, because Faye, when you first came to the Real Housewives, first of all, you weren't honest about a lot of things. And second of all, you looked a little older too. Maybe not in the face, but in the way that you dressed and the things that you were doing. So don't talk about her and hoping that her personality is more you for than her face. It's like all Phaedra does. And the reason why they wanted Phaedra to come back was so she could shade people left and right. You're shading people that you don't even know. I don't like it. It gives mean girl energy to me. So the ladies arrive, and Shamia's bags have not arrived. They won't be there until the following day. They're still in Atlanta. Let me tell y'all something. My father always taught me to make sure that when you go out and you going on a plane, that you have a carry-on. If it's up to him, all you would have is a carry-on. Like when I was younger and I would travel with my dad, I knew don't have a whole bunch of luggage. I learned how to roll up things and pack stuff tight because I'm an overpacker. But I learned how to do that because my father was not playing with having to worry about where stuff was when it came to a flight. So Shamia, carry your essentials next time, boo boo. Everybody, if you going somewhere, make sure you have a change of clothes and a carry-on, even if it's nothing but your pocketbook or a book bag. Put some clothes in there, your toothbrush and all those. Because if anything else, you need to have some underwear. Like you just do. And I'm not saying you can't buy things somewhere else, but who wants to do all of that? I'm just saying. So they arrive. Some ladies get in one car. And other ladies get another. You got Kelly, Bree, Portia. I'm sorry, you're not Bree, Britt. Portia and Shamia in one. They are turning up with drinks and energy. The theme is reset, renew, reverse. In the other, you got Phaedra, Drew, Cynthia, and Angela, and it's crickets. So Phaedra stops the crickets by trying to be filled in on who's beefing with who. Angela says Drew is the one that has some issues, which of course leads to Phaedra telling us about Drew, how she doesn't know her, that all she knows is she's a child star, and that she heard she was in a lot of movies, but she thinks they're black movies. It's just shade, shade, and more shade. Drew heard the interview that Shamia did on the radio, and she doesn't appreciate her saying that she lied, because when she said 5 languages, she wasn't sneaking that she spoke 5 languages. She meant love languages. That's the thing about art. Art is, we can hear the same song and take different things out of it. But as I said last week, Shami is whack for even commenting on that, because there are a whole bunch of people who write songs that have nothing to do with their actual lives. So the ladies arrive and they're greeted with dancers on stilts and vibes and music. They find out that they're going to be separated. So they go into the main villa. They grab shots with numbers on them. And to avoid the room drama, you get your room associated with your number. I don't know how these numbers work out, because it just sounds like the numbers weren't even ordered. Like she's saying 5 and 12 and whatever else. And I just feel like it kind of was a little bit of a setup. But y'all tell me what you think. Or, it could have been a coincidence. I just didn't feel like it was. So Shamia and Kelly are in the main villa. They have a beautiful view. Britt and Phaedra get an ocean view with a king and a queen bed. Angela and Portia have a premium suite with 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and an ocean view. I think they all have multiple bathrooms, but I'm just saying what was mentioned by the person in charge. So Cynthia and Drew get a premium room with the king bed, and the guest bedroom has 2 twin beds. Like I said, set up. So Cynthia and Drew end up arm wrestling for who's gonna get what room. Drew wins. The ladies have 30 minutes to grab lunch and get dressed. Kelly and Shamia are preparing things for the ladies. Kelly wants to know how Shamia feels about Faye being there. She lets her know that she's not concerned about Phaedra. The person that she's concerned about is Drew. This is when we find out that Shamia feels away because Drew tagged her in a post. What did the post say? It said, "Watch out for people who do interviews and create imaginary beef." She added Shamia Morton, and she said, "Hair, go naked, hair." To that, Shamia responded, "And here you are with another lie. You just can't help it, huh, cutie?" Um, my thoughts on this is Shamia is okay with the woman that spread lies about her that almost prevented her from getting married to her African husband, but you're worried about a post that Drew wrote calling you out on the fact that you lied on radio about her and you're worried because she called you a lapdog. I personally am not mad at Drew calling her out. I do think that, it would have been better for her to say something to her as well as call her out. But you did something on a radio show talking about her, and then you get mad saying you could have called me and said something to me, but you didn't call her and say anything to her, Shamia. So your point is lost in the sauce to me. Cynthia and Drew are in their room. When Drew sees the twin beds, she decides to go ahead before even seeing the other room and let Cynthia have that room because she doesn't feel right having Cynthia in the small bed. I think that she did that for multiple reasons. I think that Drew did that because Cynthia is taller. And I think that she also respects the fact that Cynthia is a little bit older than her. If the roles were reversed and that had been me and my mom would have been sleeping in the bigger bed too, even though my mother is shorter than me. But it that's just what would have happened. So I don't blame her for that. Cynthia's room has a bathroom and a private balcony. So we find out that Drew is a Taurus, and because of that, she considers herself loyal, passionate, and affectionate. My best friend is a Taurus, my guy best friend, and he is very much so loyal and passionate from what I understand. And I don't mean like passionate in terms of, dad, because we ain't going there. I'm talking about in terms of like he's passionate about the things that he does and the projects that he is and the way that he shows up for the people that he loves. And he is very affectionate. Love his girlfriend. Yes, yes, yes. Chef's kiss. Anyways, so Cynthia's man, we find out, is a Taurus too. She's enjoying her younger, taller chocolate man with locks and lots of benefits. Drew says she isn't worried about the benefits portion right now because she has a petty husband. Drew lets Cynthia know that she found out about Portia filming with Dennis. And because everybody's up Portia's butt, Cynthia feels like this makes them even. I don't feel like it makes them even because I don't think that Drew was being petty by working with Dennis. I think that Drew saw an opportunity for herself to make good music and she took advantage of it. I don't see Drew sitting there talking ish on camera with Portia's ex, but I do see Portia and Shamia sitting there with Ralph as they proceeded to talk crap about Drew and as Portia proceeded to show these supposed text messages or talk about these supposed text messages where Drew was trying to get with Dennis. So let's not act like that's the same thing. Portia and Shamia were being petty, in my opinion, by filming with Drew. Anyways, it's time for dinner. The ladies head out. I don't care about all the small talk that's going on in the vehicle. What I want to see is the views. What I want to see is this pretty area that we're not really getting to see a bunch of because you're just wasting time showing the girls. Let the girls talk and have their conversation while you show me their route. So we find out that today is Angela's 8-year wedding anniversary and she's away. They toast to it. Kelly starts talking about massages with happy endings, and Britt is talking about the naked men that were in the adjacent building. And they toast. Next thing you know, Kelly brings up resetting the energy with Shamia and Drew. Drew says, if you have an issue with me, I'd like to clear the air. Shamia brings up the post and her calling her a lapdog at Britt's event. Drew says, I called you that because you took back information that was inaccurate. Shamia feels like a lapdog wouldn't have even invited her to a session. But Shamia, you invited her to show her, what your music was like, as well as because you probably had to film some scenes. I don't know. I'm just not giving Shamia points for that. Drew says, a hit dog gonna holler, which then turns to them feeling like Drew's messed up for that. She was like, well, she was, the one barking at the table. And Shami is like, for me, it's about accountability, but none of them are being accountable. Not any of them. So Drew says, all I was saying is that the music is a blessing because Dennis feels like this can help him, with his child. Portia feels Shamia deserves an apology for being called a lapdog. Angela says, we do take offense that if we're having an intimate conversation with you, Shamia, you run back and take it back. Faye says, did you really think that you could have a conversation with her best friend and she wouldn't say anything? I got to agree with Phaedra on that. You can't think that it's not going to be a thing where it's taken back. But here's the thing, Angela, you took back stuff too. You all do it. You've all told each other what one another has said in conversations. So Angela says nobody is, trying to mess up your friendship. These are just grievances that she holds towards you that she relayed to us. Portia finds it ironic that people were asking Shamia questions about her rather than asking her. That's when Kelly says, "Okay, so do you think that you're a good friend to Shamia?" Of course, Portia doesn't answer it. She says, "We're good. We handled that." That I was talking about before. Shamia feels good that Portia spoke up and said that. It don't take much for her. Kelly says, "Okay, y'all have moved past that. So we can move past it too." She then proceeds to say, "Drew, I feel like you have an issue with everyone at this table with the exception of Cynthia." Kelly, what's your issue? What's Britt's issue? What's Angela's issue? What's Phaedra's issue? Nobody, I don't feel like anybody else has a reason to have an issue with her. Drew says, "What? I don't have an issue with Portia. I think Portia has an issue with me." She does. Portia lies and says she doesn't. She says it takes energy to have an issue. And you had a lot of energy when it came to Drew. You still have a lot of energy because when you got in the car to head to the dinner, you said, "Oh, I'm in the car with Drew." So it is energy. Portia admits that she didn't handle it right in the beginning. And Drew says, "Thank you for that." Drew, that wasn't her apologizing, but they're gonna give Portia a whole bunch of credit for saying that. Portia says, "I don't have huge expectations with you. And I was telling you that day when I met up with you, that, and then you brought up that I was dating Future." Portia and Shamia are the same person because they both do things and have a way of leaving out parts. You're acting like there wasn't a reason why she said that. She said that because you accused her of dating someone that she wasn't dating. So Portia then brings up Black. Drew tells her, "Don't throw out what did she say? Don't say things like, don't throw out what the street is saying. Like, I do not mess with Black." She tells production that Dennis is the one who told her about Black. Drew and Portia go back and forth. I don't care at this point about the whole back and forth of it. Um Portia says whatever she wants to say about Drew, for her to make up whatever rumors she wants to make about Drew. And then they have a reaction and act like Drew is wrong for having a reaction about the things that Portia is saying. Bottom line, y'all stop filming with each other's peoples, in my opinion. For the remaining time, Drew makes it clear once again that there's been nothing inappropriate with her and Dennis. And she does say that she could have texted her. That was her misstep on her part because Dennis told her that he had a blessing from Portia. I do think that Dennis did tell her that Portia was good with it. Portia says he lied. I think he's lying to the both of them. They claim that their beef is over. Then Britt grabs the rock and starts talking about, because you had to have a rock in order to speak. She grabs the rock and starts talking about, Phaedra, I want to let you know that yes, you know, Apollo and his wife came to my event, but they were invited through my husband. And Phaedra isn't worried about that, man. And Shamia says the one thing that I agree with, that look, people aren't talking about that. What people are talking about is the fact that we left your event hungry. And that's it, y'all. This episode got on my nerves. Sorry. I hope that this did okay as far as the recording goes, because I don't normally record in this room. But my baby, my little dog here, is acting a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Anyways, I mean, every time I was trying to film, he kept busting up in the room acting. Yeah, anyways, here we are. Hope you can hear it. Let me know what you thought about this video. Until next time, say it with me now.